All right, we're going to move on to the next unit where we're going to look at, now that we've got all of our money, we can start spending it. So one of the things that we're going to start talking about first is taxes. Sales tax is probably something you're already pretty familiar with, so we'll go through this pretty quickly. But a couple things might be new to you. So as we're going through this, again, as always with any of the questions, pause the video if you want to try them on your own and come back to check how you did. Sales tax. Why do we charge sales tax? Well, sales tax is a source of income for the government. So it is a source of income for the government so that they can pay for many of our services. Now we talked with the when we talk about income tax, how that goes to pay for hospitals and education and for the military and things like that. Sales tax, this is just more money that goes to pay for a lot of the things that the government provides for us. Okay. Years ago, back before 2010, there were actually two taxes that we paid called the PST, or the Provincial Sales Tax, and the GST, or the Goods and Services Tax. And together, we had to pay 15% tax. Now, the sales tax is called HST, which stands for a harmonized sales tax. And basically all they've done is take these two taxes and put them together. But they did reduce the GST from 7% to 5%. So if we combine that 5% with the 8% that goes towards the provincial government, we pay 13% tax on everything. Okay? And the HST in Ontario applies to most goods and services. So things that you buy or services that you pay for. Okay. In different provinces, the GST, that's a federal tax, so that 5% is the same across all of Canada, but the PST, or the provincial sales tax, can vary from province to province. Okay, so if you're traveling outside of Ontario, be prepared that the tax rate will change. Now you have to pay for tax on most things, but there are some things that you don't have to pay tax on. Okay, basic groceries. These are things such as bread, or milk, or fruits and vegetables. Okay. One rule of thumb that you could follow is if it comes in a can or a jar or a box, chances are you're going to have to pay tax on it. But if you're buying fresh food, probably you don't have to pay any HST on it. If you are a farmer, some agricultural products you don't have to pay tax on. So things like wheat, or if you're buying raw wool to make clothing, you don't have to pay tax on that. Your prescription drugs, no tax on those. Some medical devices you don't have to pay tax on. So things such as hearing aids. Okay, if you're losing your hearing, or if you need to, for some reason, to get dentures, okay, you don't have to pay tax on those. Housing. If you buy a used house, if you buy a house that somebody has already lived in, you don't have to pay tax on that. If you're buying a brand new house from the builder, you will have to pay tax on the brand new house, but not if it's a house that's already been lived in. Okay. A lot of health and medical services provided by licensed practitioners, so things like chiropractor, your dentist, all of those would be tax-free. Tolls on highways are tax-free. Legal aid, so lawyer fees would be tax-free. A lot of educational services are tax-free. If you ever take music lessons, private music lessons, no tax on those. Most services provided by a financial institution. So if you're going to a bank and they're providing some service for you that you have to pay for, you don't have to pay tax on it. Okay. Most goods and services provided by a charity. Okay, so anything that you're paying for through a charity, tax-free. Transit services, so taking the bus or the subway, the LRT here in KW, tax-free. And one that you will probably come across later in your life, childcare services, so daycare. things like that. You don't have to pay any tax on that. So we do have to pay tax on a lot of things, but not everything, as you can see from this list here. So we're going to look at some examples now. How do we calculate tax? So on the back side here, we've got 4 examples. And again, I'm going to work through them, but if you feel confident at any time, go ahead and stop the video, try them on your own, and then restart and check how you're doing. Okay. So for the first one here, you want to buy a new pair of shoes. It costs $185. We've got 2 parts here. First, we want to find what is the cost of the HST, or how much is just the tax. And then once we know that, what's our total cost that we have to pay for the shoes. So to calculate the HST, remember HST is 13%. And whenever we're working with percentages, just like commission, we're going to change this percentage to a decimal, 0.13. And we're always going to use this decimal when we're doing our calculations. So to calculate the amount of the HST, we're going to take the cost of our shoes, $185, and multiply it by our percentage, or 0.13. And if we do that on our calculator, we're going to get $24.05. So this is saying that on our shoes, we're going to have to pay an extra $24.05 in tax. So now that we know the amount of the tax, we can calculate what our total cost is going to be. And to calculate our total cost, we're going to take the cost of the shoes, the $185, and we're going to add on the $24.05 that we have to pay in tax. And we get a total cost of $209.05. And as I'm sure you're well aware, this is why when you look at the shoes, it says $185, but when you get up to pay for them, they're going to tell you it's actually $209. And the difference in the price is that tax that has to be added on. Number 2, very similar. Calculate the HST on a skateboard, and then once we have that, we're going to find the total cost. So I'm going to calculate the HST. I'm going to take the cost of my skateboard, $230.95, and I'm going to multiply it by my 13%. And my calculator tells me that $230.95 times 13% is $30.02. Remember, when we're dealing with money, we can round off to 2 decimal places. That third decimal place of a 3 tells us that that 2 is going to stay at 2. Okay, so $30.02. Once I have my HST, I can find my total cost by taking the original price of $230.95 and adding $30.02. And I will get $260.97. So for the third one, similar type of question, but it doesn't ask us to calculate the HST and then the total cost. It just says, how much would you pay for a new TV? Okay. So there is one way that we can calculate tax slightly differently. Okay. If we think of the cost of the TV is 100% of the price. Okay. And then we're going to add our tax on, and our tax is 13%. So we're going to take the total cost of the TV, 100%. We're going to add on our 13% tax. And if we get our total, if we add the cost of the TV and the tax together, 100% plus 13% is 113%. So one way that we could, all we're doing is eliminating one step, but one way we could shorten this up a little bit is instead of multiplying by 0.13 to find the tax, I can take the cost of my TV, $679.99, and multiply it by 1.13. And I'm using 1.13 because if I change 113% into a decimal, and we do that by dividing by 100, I get 1.13. This 1, that's the 100% for the price of the TV. The 0.13, well, that's our 13% tax. So if I do that on my calculator, I do $679.99 times 1.13 for the TV and the tax all combined together. I'm going to get $768.39. Again, rounding here, I see decimal 38. That third decimal 8 tells me the 8 is going to round up to a 9, giving me 39 cents. Okay. So it doesn't matter which way you do the calculations, if you do them separately, the tax and then the total cost, or if you do it all in one step like we did here. The only suggestion I would make, if the question asks for the HST and the total cost, you will have to break it up to show both calculations. But if it just asks for what the final cost is, feel free to take this shortened version here. The last one here is kind of working backwards a little bit. If I bought something and it was $82.48 after tax was added, what was the actual price of the item? Okay. So we're going to use this idea of the total being 113%. Okay. So if I know that the total of $82.48, okay, if I want to get back to the regular price of the item, I'm going to divide by 1.13. Basically, I'm undoing the calculation that I did up here to get to my total. Okay? So if I work backwards, I can undo it by, instead of multiplying, I can divide. So if I take my calculator and I take my $82.48 and divide it by 1.13, this is taking the tax back out of the price. I get $72.99. And I could reverse the calculation. If I had $72.99 as the cost of my item, I wanted to find out what the price with tax was. I could multiply it by 1.13 and I should come out to $82.48, which is what the calculator does tell me. Okay, so we can undo tax by dividing the tax back out to get to the price that was listed in the store. So you've got a sheet to practice with, calculating the cost of some items with tax, and once you've done that, we can move on to the next topic.